in the Northeast. So there's the energy coming through. Very heavy rainfall, of course, especially into Connecticut and areas that we don't need it. Look how it just kind of sat there. More and more rain right over Connecticut. That's how it sat up. And it wasn't just Connecticut. There were areas on Long Island, also into Jersey, into New York that did see flooding in the past 48 hours. But of course, it was right here into Connecticut where there was extensive damage from all the flooding rain. Look at Long Island, though. I mean, we got a lot of it, too. But between Bridgeport and Hartford, we are well above average now on rainfall. Look at Sandy Hook coming in at over a foot. Sound Beach, New York, 10 inches. Newtown, 10 inches. Middlebury, 9.55. Just extensive rainfall here over the Long Island Sound. So what is the setup right now? Basically, we have the southern branch of the jet that goes like this. Okay, so that's a trough giving us unsettled weather. And then we have the northern branch of the jet that's like this. This is the colder air that is going to be diving southbound for us. So those are our two pieces of energy that we have coming through. Now, yes, it brings us colder air, still brings us some unsettled weather. Notice the clouds and the showers, essentially Rhode Island, Connecticut, eastbound today, a few scattered showers. But look at the temperatures. 59 in Binghamton, Buffalo, 65, 67 in Pittsburgh, Boston, New York. I mean, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous with those temperatures. It's going to feel like fall. Unfortunately, it's still pretty rough there on the ocean thanks to some of those waves kicking up. It takes a while once a tropical entity pumps out the waves for everything to kind of pull back. Tomorrow, showers, but still that cool air sitting in place. Look at D.C., only 78 degrees. Through essentially the end of the week, we're going to be 10, 15, even 20 degrees below average for some spots here into the Northeast. If this is not, I mean, you cannot beat this weather in August. It is just, I can't get over how unreal it is here. Watch out, all those leaves are going to change like that. I'm just kidding. Though some might with those lows dropping down there. Here is that sunshine in the 70s. We're going to rebound a bit here as we get towards the end of the week into Connecticut, Jim. So woof, at least they're going to have some pleasant weather for the cleanup efforts there. You know, at least it's not going to be 95 degrees with a heat index of 101, which could be this time of year.
Which happens certainly, you know, after hurricanes and stuff like this, which was kind of like that with the tropical.
You know, charging towards the state of Florida. Now, speaking of moisture, we've got a bucket of it here, just suspended in the atmosphere into Texas. But this could be really dangerous. Excessive heat warning anywhere you see the fluorescent pink on the map. Now, here's the thing, not just where you see the fluorescent pink, but where you see the red as well. Within these areas, you have to be so careful if you're spending a lot of time outdoors because we have a high pressure. Underneath the high pressure, the air is being suppressed. That's the heating mechanism. That also gives us sunshine. That doesn't allow clouds to grow. You need lift in order for clouds to grow. We're going to get suppression, so that gives us the sunshine. So we have this huge ridge. Remember that jet stream that I was drawing you? And I said it was dipping down here? Well, it's just like a seesaw with the scenario we have now, where it's going down in one place, has to go up in another. That allows the warmth to get north, and that means a lot of potential record highs and warms. Now, I'm with Jordan here. We're on the very humid side of the atmosphere, and that means that those triple-digit readings are going to feel even hotter. This is our ambient temperature today, 102, 105, 102, 92, 93, but you throw in that bucket of moisture, it feels a lot hotter. But when you're talking about records, we typically are talking about the ambient temperature. What I don't like about this is that we're breaking a lot of records from recent time. It's okay if you break a record from 1909 that's been standing nearly 100 years, but to see back-to-back records broken, that is not good. And with the changing climate, things are just going to continue to get hot. Speaking of hot, look at Phoenix breaking this record. Consecutive days at or above 100. 85. The previous record was 76. We've annihilated that, and that's only from 1993. And Jim, I mean, there's really no end in sight here.
No, that's where the ridge is, so you're absolutely right.
I'm going to show you what we are going to see delay-wise. There's no problems this morning. Pretty typical right at this hour, 6 in the morning. You're just getting that first flight out. But as you head into the afternoon, where could we run into some problems? I don't think we're going to see too many today, frankly, because there's not a lot of rain. We do have some showers there into Tampa and Miami, so you might see some into Florida, but a lot of times those dissipate and then you can just take off from there. So let's bring up the maps and show you where you're going to need the sunglasses. And maybe, by the way, in some places in the Northeast, you can have the windows down and have a beautiful fresh breeze coming in, tie up the hair, put the top down. A few showers right now into Florida, but it is quiet relative to what we will see a little bit later into the afternoon with some of those storms firing up. Again, this is very typical of Florida, so I don't think we're going to have too many issues. Though as we look into Montana, the possibility of some thunderstorms if you're driving there between Billings and Glasgow. Into South Dakota, that's where the heaviest rain is falling right now. Eastern South Dakota over towards Omaha. You got the clouds stretching down, and we do have a flash flood warning. Remember, if you ever see flooding on the road, you want to turn around, don't drown. This rainfall is racing along I-90 and essentially north of there, right into Huron, and it's headed towards Watertown. Jim, coming on in, it is hot, it is humid. In fact, we have heat advisories here into Palm Beach County, Broward, and also Miami-Dade County with your heat indices to 105 and 110. Thanks to all this humidity. Of course, the humidity, this dew point temperatures are going to be nice and high in the morning hours. And we have a front that's coming down, lingering over North Florida. Flow over Florida is coming like this, so bringing the moisture over. And then you have the lift from that boundary. That's going to give us storms. There's still that rip current risk, especially on the east coast of Florida. So be really careful if you're trying to get away from all that excessive heat. So there's your boundary. There's your flow coming across the state, and plenty of lift and plenty of moisture. And by the way, we are going to see a tropical wave and a surge of moisture as we head into Friday and over the weekend. So those rounds of rain are going to be continuing for us right now, not loads, but watch as we go through the day. You're going to see everything flowing from west to east across the state. And they will be hit and miss showers, so I don't think this is going to totally ruin your day. But typically around 4 o'clock, that's when everything just booms. We see rain shafts coming down, and we will see that continue. Things will get even wetter with that tropical wave as we get into our Friday. So be prepared. At least that gives us some cooler temperatures coming in, but it is going to stay wet as we head into the weekend with several inches of rain. Not
Yes,
westerly shear, which is interesting.
True. That's
so, I mean,
true.
those winds are just cranking from
sheer,
the east.
Yeah, sheer is no good, whether it's from the west or the east.
Sheer is no good.
That's
All
true.
right, let's have a look at what's happening in Texas. We're, of course, no strangers to hurricanes. More than 35 million under heat alerts today, and that includes Dallas, where we topped out at 107 yesterday. The record was 108 set just last year. More triple-digit highs are expected this week. It's not just Dallas. Dallas, excessive heat warnings around the area as well. Hamilton, Burleson, Jacksonboro, Clifton, Valley Mills. You live in any of those areas, you are going to see excessive heat, and it goes anywhere from really the Red River all the way down into Houston. Both Dallas, Houston, points in between. The air quality is going to be bad as well because we just have this hot, stagnant air in place thanks to this high pressure, which this basically just lets everything sit in place. It doesn't mix up the atmosphere like a low pressure gets everything coming in and mixing up. This has everything just sitting tight, so that means we're going to stay hot with this big ridge in place, and there's your potential for records from the Houston area, where we are going to be hot in League City, the Woodlands, Freeport, Wharton, Devers, all these places, and that's where, of course, we have the highest dew point temperatures because we are closest to the water. But that's just your ambient temperature today. You're talking 106, 102, 105 in San Antonio. The Riverwalk might cool you off, a little bit of an influence from the water there. But look at these records, and a lot of these were just set in the last 4 to 5 years. That's not good that we're already breaking those records. It's one thing if you're breaking a record that's been around for 95 years or so in San Antonio. We're going to be close to that one, but a lot of these records just happened, and that's not a good signal from the atmosphere if we continue to get hotter with our changing climate. By the way, our heat index, 110, even the 1-teens for some people today, and this is going to last for a while. Cool, dry air, and that means that we are going to be feeling like September, maybe October in some of these spots here. So Friday into Saturday, we do see those temperatures start to come back to average here into Oxford, Connecticut. But thankfully, there is sunshine for the extended period here in Western Connecticut, Jim. But look at those lows. I mean, 51 as we get into Thursday morning, 50.
It's going to be crisp. We've already got our first set of 30s this morning in the great
Florida girl, born and raised. And it's hot in Florida. It's also hot in Texas. We have excessive heat warning covering a lot of real estate. And that does include places in between Dallas and Abilene and all the way down towards Houston. Now, Dallas, we're under heat advisory, but an excessive heat warning extends into Mineral Wells, Oak Trail, Shores, Weatherford, Graham, Ranger, Dublin, a lot of spots. And in and around Houston, if you live in Lake Jackson, Dixon, First Colony, Bay City, Sugar Land, Pecan Grove, any of these areas, you do have to watch out for the heat. Big high pressure, suppressing the air that actually warms up little molecules. So if you think about a balloon way up high and has 15 molecules within the balloon, all right? And the balloon's like this way up high. The balloon actually gets squeezed when it comes down to the surface like that, and you still have 15 molecules inside of it, but now they're a lot closer to each other. They don't have their own space, so they're kind of bumping into each other as they're dancing around the balloon, and that heats up the atmosphere. You also just get that direct sunlight in, and that makes things warmer too. We have had highs that are going to be record-setting from Florida to the I-10 corridor all the way up to the border with Texas. A lot of humidity outside as well, with the dew point temperatures in the 70s. I mean, that is just muggy. You like swim through the atmosphere. We have just buckets of humidity. Today, our ambient temperature is going to get into the 100-degree range, 106 into Waco and San Angelo, and we could be setting records. Look at Abilene, forecast to go to 108, and notice majority of these records we have just set. So that's not really great news. That just shows that warming climate that we're getting, that we are continuing to break these records. Now, notice in Phoenix, also hot in the Southwest. If we look at it consecutive days at or above 100, we've had 85. The previous record was 76. And by the way, we're going to add 86, 87, 88 with lots of sunshine. The heat index is going to take us into the 1-teens. And we've already had nearly 24 kids die in hot cars this year. So make sure that we don't leave kids, pets, anyone. I don't even care if they're a healthy human being inside a car, Jordan, with temperatures like this.
Seriously.
It could kill them.
Even something as little.
All this heat in Florida, the weather bubbles up because they're like, ooh, it's so hot, let me fix this. They try to fix the atmosphere, and that rain cools us off. And we have plenty of moisture. Look at our dew point temperatures, especially into South Florida in the upper 70s, but a little bit cooler air into northern Florida with those upper 60s. So quite a difference in that dew point temperature from the Panhandle on into places like Miami, Palm Beach County, Broward County, Miami-Dade counties. We are all having our heat indices like 105 to 110. It's going to be very, very hot. So that's why we are wanting this moisture to come in and cool us off. Still some rip current risks here, so careful if you are headed to the beach. Make sure you swim by a lifeguard. But there's a little boundary and plenty of moisture. By the way, a surge of tropical moisture is going to come in as we head into our Friday. Jordan was showing you that earlier. So it's going to be rounds and rounds of rain. Quiet in the morning, but you have that flow coming from the west to the east, flowing right over Florida. What happens is you get daytime heating, you have that lifting mechanism, and boom, you get the storms. Notice the Panhandle quite dry, but around 4 p.m., there they blow, right? We will see some of those heavier downpours and maybe some delays at the airport, but they shouldn't last too long.
People always say,
it is what it is.
Until it isn't. Like, remember before AI when your phone couldn't do this?
Put this list of restaurants on a map.
Or when you couldn't ask it this?
Can you teach me how to play Mahjong?
No problem.
Huh. Remember when your new phone couldn't really do anything new? Until it could.
Save on the all-new Google Pixel 9 Pro phones at googlestore.com.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, I don't know how we get there.
And we'll see, because there's going to be a new update coming out with those names. So we will see what they do with that. More than 35 million under heat alerts today, and that includes Dallas, where temps topped out at 107 yesterday. The record 108. So we almost tied that record, and we're going to see more triple-digit heat this week. And it's not only to Dallas, but all the way down into Houston, Austin, San Antonio, all of these areas. Excessive heat warnings in Hamilton, Burleson, Jacksonboro, Breckenridge, Clifton, Valley Mills. A lot of spots are feeling that heat. We also have that poor air quality from Dallas down into Houston, League City, Rosenberg, the Woodlands, Wharton, Devers, all thanks to this high pressure that's centered over the Four Corners. That is giving us a lot of sunshine and a lot of air that's getting suppressed, which heats up the atmosphere. And that means we could see triple digits and record-setting temperatures through this week. Not only will we get that, but we have our heat index that will be in the 1-teens in some places. This is your ambient temperature, and then you throw the humidity into that, and it's going to knock those numbers up. But we're talking breaking records that we just set. These records should stand for at least 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So it's wild that the atmosphere is already this much hotter than it was just last year or in the last 5 years. There's your heat index, 1-teens down into Corpus. Whew, got to get in that water. Cool. Rounds and very heavy rain come on through. Multiple reports of flooding for us here over the past 48 hours. And it wasn't just in this vicinity, but you saw in upstate New York. Remember, we had Debbie. It's been very wet. So you're putting, more water on a saturated ground. The obvious happens. You're going to get flooding. And we did have very heavy rain, Long Island, New Jersey, but some of the worst of it was here into Connecticut, where we had over a foot in Sandy Hook. Sound Beach, though, here, right across Long Island Sound, 10 inches, Newtown, 10, Middlebury, all the way to Miller Place, 9.84 inches of rain. So huge amounts of rainfall. So what's happening now in the Midwest and Northeast? Well, we have our subtropical jet coming around. Then we have our northern branch, and this is a cold air coming in, colder, drier air that is coming on in. And so that is really going to give us very comfortable conditions for all the cleaning up that has to be done. We still have a few clouds and showers. Boston is all just light rain for you. That's starting to pull out, though. We will see that start to taper off. But look at this. I mean, New York at 73, Buffalo, Pittsburgh in the 60s. These are our highs, not our lows. It is still August. We could certainly see our temperatures in the triple digits and heat indices. I mean, it could be really bad, but we are seeing our highs and our lows, which will be into the 50s and 40s for some, well below average through the big chunk of the week. Still rough surf out there. So if you are heading to the beaches, I know school is not back yet here into the Northeast. Be very, very careful in the water. Always swim by a lifeguard. But look at tomorrow. I mean, especially Boston, New York. I mean, look at the temperatures. Yeah, into New England, we'll see a few showers, but our high's only at 60. And I mean, it's like, is it fall? Do I need to get out my winter coat yet? I'm exaggerating a bit, of course, there, but it is going to be on the chillier side. But just, you cannot beat this forecast. A little taste of fall. But guess what? Temperatures are going to rebound as we head towards the end of the week here. So be prepared to be back up near 80 degrees. But just look at this. For our Wednesday and Thursday morning, upper 40s, low 50s, highs around 69. We're literally going to be 20 degrees below average in some places here as we go through the next several days, Jim. So I'm glad for cleanup purposes we're going to have good weather.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. People are going to be outside all day.
Yeah.
So, to be able to have this.